Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the French and why I think currently they are overall the best civilization in Age of Empires 4 here in the early days of the game, just kind of coming out here in the last couple weeks. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so obviously the game is going to be evolving and changing, and people will learn different strategies and learn how different things work on different maps and how everything counters each other. And the game is fairly new, so things are still kind of evolving, but I do think currently the French are the overall best civilization. And first of all, let's go through just kind of the basics here to get an understanding of the faction, and then we'll talk about why they are so powerful right now. So you can see here they have a 1-star difficulty. Just because they're kind of aimed towards being that generally useful faction, something like the English, where they could play defensive, aggressive, and they're just kind of easy to get a grasp of playing in terms of not having super special mechanics. You've got things like the Mongols that can't wall, for example, so they play a lot differently. They can pick up and move their buildings. That would be an example of something that would be higher difficulty and isn't as straightforward as something like the French and the English. But then for the French description, we've got aggression, cavalry, and economy. The French deploy powerful cavalry units and can boost production in fortified positions. Enemies must be prepared to withstand the charges of powerful royal knights and other armored units. They get access to the royal knights in H2, like 4 or 5 minutes into the game. It's an insane early game unit, the royal knight. Mounted combat, battle with improved cavalry units. The mainland economy wields superior economy with cheaper resource drop-offs, economic technologies, and more versatile traders. They also get the melee upgrades every age totally for free, but you do need to make sure you have a blacksmith to go ahead and unlock that. Then we've got faster villager and scout production per age. This is ridiculous. This is just a passive ability that you don't have to earn or anything. And in any RTS game, economy is everything. Getting a bigger economy, a more robust base than your opponent is going to help you outscale them and outproduce them. So you're going to be able to stomp them the longer the game goes. So this is one of the best bonuses you can get in an RTS, which is just faster worker production. And they actually increase this every age. You get to age 2 super quick, and you're getting 15% faster villagers than your opponent. That's an insane bonus. It's one of the best in the game. Then economic technology, 30% cheaper, which is actually super important because the French, for all the things they have that are good about them, they are an expensive civilization. So they really need some help in getting some economic advantages in the game to help them kind of cope with the super high price that they kind of are to play. We've got resource drop-off buildings, 25 wood cheaper. Trade posts are revealed on the minimap at the start of the game, which is actually super handy for somebody who's learning the game, doesn't have a perfect understanding of all the maps yet. That's actually really nice. You can see the little icon of where the markets are right at the start of the game on the minimap. That's super impactful for kind of more beginner type players. And those traders can also return any resource to the market. And melee damage text research for free. We went over that. Trade ships are already super good, and the trade ships for the French are going to return 20% more gold, helping them scale up to kind of counteract the high cost that they are. Influence units produced from an archery range or stable within the influence of a keep are 20% cheaper. So remember to build your stables and archery ranges within a keep, ideally kind of late game when you're going to be cranking out units at a high pace. When you're kind of trading back and forth with your opponent, if you've got all of your stuff kind of surrounding keeps, you're going to be able to trade more efficiently than them if you're doing a bunch of those late game battles where you're both kind of throwing units at each other. And then the unique units here, we've got the Royal Knight, which I think is the most impactful unique unit they get. 5 minutes into the game, you've got access to Royal Knights that gain bonus damage for 3 seconds after completing a charge. You've got your Arbs here, which are basically upgraded crossbowmen, where they deploy a defensive Pavis that provides 5 ranged armor for 30 seconds. So they are super sturdy, and they do super high damage to armored units. And then you've got your Galleus, the large war galley that has a long range forward mounted bombard. The French are super good on the sea, and that is just going to help them out a little bit more. So all of their uniques are pretty good. I would say the most impactful one is the Royal Knight. So now that we have a basic understanding of how they function as a civ, let's go ahead and talk about why I think they are currently the best all-encompassing, just overall, you know, this can be map dependent, this can be player dependent on someone's style and the map and the situation and what they're going up against, but why in general I think the French are best. And I already talked about it a little bit, but I'm just going to go through the different bullet points. The faster villager production is just bonkers. Like I said already, it's one of the best abilities you can have in an RTS game, where it's all about scaling and outscaling your opponent and getting that production rolling, just getting that passive bonus of more villagers than your opponent. By all you have to do is pump them and you get that guaranteed value. That is just a ridiculous ability for a civ to have. Next up, I want to touch on their School of Cavalry. Landmark is one of the best in the game, but also the other one, the Chamber of Commerce, it can make sense in certain situations. If you're playing on an island map where you're going to be cranking out, trying to control the sea, you're going to be able to get a lot more production. The French already get a bonus from their trade ships. You build that Chamber of Commerce, and now you can get even more, so you can really ramp up a lot faster and really lord over the sea even better if you're not going to be producing cav, not trying to harass somebody like if you're on an island map. But 90-something% of the games and 90% of the French opponents you go up against are going to be dropping down this School of Cavalry on almost every single map that isn't an island, and they're going to be using this to act as a stable and crank out these Royal Knights that you see right here, unique to the French, and we already kind of went over them as a unit. They are very gold intensive. They're 100 gold a pop. They are expensive, but they are absolutely going to lord over the first 10 minutes of the game. So dropping down that School of Cavalry is another reason why the French are so insane. Leads us into the next point, which is the unique unit of the Royal Knight. Like, okay, what are we looking for in a unique unit to be good? We're looking for getting access to it early so you can snowball an advantage. We are looking for that unit to be high impact and generally useful, so it's going to be a consistent performer. The Royal Knight checks all of these boxes. You get access to it early. Obviously at tier 2, you can get this guy 5 minutes into the game, drop that School of Cav, boom, you're age 2 and you're cranking out Royal Knights. It is also extremely generally useful. You can, like, you're always going to get value out of this. Any map that isn't an island map, you're gonna get value. It's got high HP. It is super tough. You can get the Chivalry tech, which is going to regenerate 1 health for every 1 second out of combat. So you can run in, do some harass, take a bunch of damage, simply pull back, regroup, send in other ones, let those ones heal. You can just, you know, do a nice little rotate, have 2 different bands of Royal Knights kind of running in, doing damage, coming out healing. Then your other band runs in, does damage, comes out and heals, and then your other one's ready to go and they're all regenerated. You can do things like that. So getting access to it early, with it recovering its own health and being a harass type unit that's going to be super consistent in almost any situation, early game, mid game, end game. It's one of the best unique units in the game, and it's definitely a massive reason as to why the French are so strong. And the next point I want to talk about is getting access to the Hulk attack ship in tier 2. So whether the game is a land match, in tier 2, 5 minutes into the game, they can crank out Royal Knights. If the game is an island or a water map situation, 5 minutes into the game, they can crank out Hulks. Now, the Hulks are not a unique unit to the French, but the French get them in age 2, whereas, you know, most commonly they're going to be in age 3. So there's a big difference between having access to something in age 2 versus age 3. You're talking 5 minutes into the game versus like 15, 20 minutes into the game. I know you can do rush strategies and get there at like 9, 10, 11 minutes, but typically age 3 is going to come somewhere around that 15 to 20 minute mark in most games, especially if there's pressure back and forth. So you've got like a 10 to 15 minute window where you are going to be the absolute king of the sea. The Hulk is going to shatter any other ship that anybody else is going to have in the second age. So it enables you to really effectively take control of getting vision and harassing other people's docks and really putting pressure on fishing boats or trading or anything they're trying to get done. It's going to help you just be the king of the sea. Getting access to the Hulk in age 2 is super ridiculous. You couple that with getting access to the Royal Knight in age 2, which is super impactful. And the French are going to be impactful in age 2 no matter what, land, sea, they've got it covered. There are obviously other things that the French have going for them besides, you know, the top bullet points, but those are the main reasons why I'm kind of feeling that the French are gonna emerge to the top. But before our first balance change and before things evolve with the game here in Age of Empires 4, why I think the French are gonna be the best overall civilization right now. They just have a really cool play style where you can get that early heavy cav, that you can take damage and regenerate. Allows you to play a style where you harass your opponent, you get an early lead, not only from hopefully killing some of their villagers, but on top of that, you're producing villagers faster than they are. So if any villager you kill is that much more impactful, because you're going to snowball that much harder because of your production being ahead of them for villagers. You snowball that into a good economy, and then that good economy turns into having superior units, cheaper upgrades. Getting the melee upgrades for free allows you to focus on armor, which tends to scale a lot better and make your units sturdy. And then the late game, when you're pumping out those units and you're trading with your opponent, as long as you place your buildings properly, you're getting a lot of synergy with your keeps to go ahead and trade efficiently with them. So they just have a very consistent play style that unlocks a lot of potential early game, mid game, and end game. Land, sea, it doesn't matter. The French are going to perform great, but I would love to hear what you think down below. If you have any input as to me being right, wrong, indifferent, your opinions are always welcome on my channel. I enjoy reading through that as well, and hopefully we'll dive into some discussions about some of the other civilizations in the game and talk about if I think they are strong or weak and all of that from what I'm experiencing and seeing other players play and playing you know, the game myself and some of my matches, and kind of see how the game evolves here as we kind of move forward. But that'll do it for me in this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.